Okay, I'm going to show you how to solve an equation like this. So you start out by multiplying by 2. So you're going to have 2 to the x plus 2 to the negative x equals 6. Now we need to get rid of this negative exponent. So we're going to multiply everything by 2 to the x power. Okay, so when you multiply, x squared times x to the third, when you multiply things with exponents, you add exponents. So if you have 2 to the negative x times 2 to the positive x, that's 2 to the negative x plus x, which is 2 to the 0, which is 1. Okay, so that's what this is going to become. Then 2 to the x times 2 to the x is 2 to the x plus x, which is 2 to the 2x. You can also think of that as squaring this. If I take 2 to the x times 2 to the x, then I'm squaring 2 to the x. And when you take an exponent to an exponent, you multiply. So whichever way you need to think about it to help you understand, if I take 2 to the x times 2 to the x, I get 2 to the 2x. Then this is 1, so plus 1. And then you have 6 times 2 to the x power. You cannot make that 12 because the 6 is not taken to the x power. So think of the 2 to the x as kind of like a variable, and the 6 is like the coefficient. Okay, so now we're going to rearrange it. So I'm going to put 2 to the 2x here, minus 6 times 2 to the x plus 1 equals 0. Now you have a quadratic, even though this is supposed to be multiply. It looks like minus is supposed to be multiply. Even though it might not look like it to you, you have a quadratic. And so I'm going to show you a way to make it look like a quadratic. If you let some letter equal this number to this exponent, then when you plug it in, you're going to get m there, and this would be m squared. Remember we said 2 to the x squared is 2 to the 2x. So if 2 to the x is m, then m squared is 2 to the x squared, which is 2 to the 2x. So this becomes m squared if you let m equal 2 to the x, and you put it in there. Then you have minus 6m plus 1 equals 0. Okay, so that makes it look more like a quadratic. To me, this looks like a quadratic. I can work it the way it is. But for most of you, you're going to need to use substitution and replace 2 to the x with m, which means you're going to replace 2 to the 2x with m squared. So whenever one exponent is twice as much as another exponent, it's squared. Okay? So now to solve this, it doesn't factor, so you need to use the quadratic formula. So m is